Oh, we're live.
Oh, but you should.
I'll tell you in a bit.
All right, tell me in a bit.
Awesome.
All right.
Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast.
Thank
This is the
you.
podcast where I get to interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners get seen, get paid, and live free by creating binge-worthy videos on social media. I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge. So if you are a business owner, you want to learn how to scale your business using social media and video content, feel free to DM the word challenge accepted on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, well, TikTok, and I will send you a personal invite. And today we have the wonderful and powerful Denene with us. She's the CEO of Zebra Strategies, a leading market research company dedicated to amplifying the voices of underserved and vulnerable populations. Her work has been instrumental in helping Fortune 500 companies, nonprofits, and government agencies understand and engage with diverse communities effectively. Throughout her career, Denene has earned numerous awards and accolades, including the 2024 WPO Woman to Watch, congratulations, the 2022 Insights Association Research Laureate Award, and the Wire inaugural MRX Diversity Champion Award. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited to be invited and to be able to fellowship on business today. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, you are such a powerhouse. I know that people are going to be blessed. You are a powerhouse. They are going to be blessed with what it is that you are going to share today.
Thank
So
you.
take
Thank
us
you.
on your journey from zero to wealth, from where you started to where you are now.
Okay. I mean, I always say I started my business kind of on a whim. I had not planned to start a business, but my father said, "Why don't you start a business?" So I had a bank account and I started a business. And I say that God protects children, drunks, and fools. And I had to be one of those because I was very naive. And so when I started my business, I did not understand a lot of the basics that you needed to have. And so because of that, I had to kind of have a baptism by fire type thing. But what I will say, and I've always felt this, is that it's important to have the proper business structure in place. And I remember starting my business, and as naive as I was, I remember speaking to this colleague of mine, and she told me a story, and it always stuck with me. She told me a story about her aunt and uncle who had this really successful business, but they hadn't paid payroll taxes. And because of that, I guess payroll taxes is the one type of tax where they can actually go after your own personal assets. And I said, wow, that's kind of scary. If I'm successful in this business and I want to have a home and I want to do things, I want to make sure I protect those types of things. So with that in mind, I one of the first things I did was I got a bookkeeper, and I wanted the bookkeeper to make sure that whatever it was I had to do as it relates to my taxes or anything that I did that. So that's one example, right? And I think having the proper legal structure, right? Having the proper insurance, all of those types of things are minimizing your exposure and your risk. And when you think about scaling, that's so important, right? So because I have my little song queued up. Should I do it to tell you?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead, go
right.
ahead.
I'm queuing up my little song, all right? Let's see if we can, if YouTube works with me. Why is it important to have this when you scale? Hold on a minute. Here we go. More money, more problems.
Oh, we can't hear it. Is it
Are you
playing?
serious? Oh my
Can't hear
God.
it.
All right. Well, you have to do anyway. It's more money, more problems. It's important to have all these things in place: the bookkeeping, accounting, the legal structure, the insurance structure, because more money, more problems. So I mean, I just was playing the song "More Money, More Problems" because the more you scale and the more revenue you bring in, there are more problems that come in, right? More risk and more opportunities for people to try and cause problems for you. I'll just put it that way. So when you have this proper structure in place, especially insurance and legal and bookkeeping, you kind of mitigate those risks. I would say the other thing that happens, and I remember when I did my first million around 2017, someone was saying to me at that time, the people and the support you need changes based on your volume, your revenue. I'm like, whatever, what are they talking about? And sure enough, it did. The bookkeeper that I need changed. The insurance that I need changed. And what happens is sometimes that change is obvious and sometimes it's not. With my insurance broker, he said, I cannot manage your needs anymore, Denene. I can't sell you the insurance that you need, right? The bookkeeper, not so much. But what ended up happening was that when I wanted more information, she just didn't have the capacity to give it to me. So I would say when you think about that, and you think about scaling, you've got to think about where am I now? What's my support system? And what will it be if I get to another level? For sure. The other thing I think when we think about risk exposure and those types of things, you want to have this stuff in place, because if you have it in place, you don't have to be surprised. And when I say that, on my podcast, Gritfully, one of my segments is really around insurance, and we spend the entire 45 minutes talking about insurance. But I'm going to give you another anecdote. I gave you the payroll anecdote. I'm going to give you another anecdote. I don't know, maybe 2017, 2018, I landed a project with Viacom. So, you can't tell me nothing, right? I'm a salesperson. I'm a selling CEO. Some CEOs are administrative CEOs. Some are operational. I'm a selling CEO. And so I sell. So I sold this contract. I was so excited. Basketball wives, you can't tell me nothing. Woohoo! The contract came and there was an insurance clause that I didn't have. So now I've got to figure out in 48 to 72 hours to get that insurance. The broker I'm dealing with already told me 6 months ago he can't manage my work, but I didn't pay attention to it. So now I've got to figure it out. Now I did it, but what ended up happening is that I had to clear my entire day, whatever I had planned, to find an insurance company that could get me that insurance. So when you start to scale and you start to get to those kinds of places, you've got to always be thinking to yourself, what do I need? What kind of support do I need? I think that's important. I think if you're serious about I shouldn't say serious. When I launch my digital products, the first thing I want people to understand is what their mindset is as it relates to having a business. Do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want a scaling business, right? If you want a scaling business, one of the things you have to be prepared to do is to give yourself a salary, right? And people think, oh, no, it's important. It's important to give yourself a salary. It's important to have the proper insurance in place, not just business liability insurance, but insurance for your health insurance, disability insurance, all those types of things that you need to be safe personally and also to be safe professionally, all of those types of things. So you have to kind of think to yourself, is this going to be a side hustle? Is this going to be a lifestyle thing that I kind of enjoy and get a little chump change from? Or is this going to be something that I'm going to build a life from? And once you make that decision, then you've got to make sure that you can have a sustainable salary and that you can also have the support in place to do that.
Whew, everything that you said, everything. And
I think it's meant to be informal sometimes, and it's okay. But those types of things, it comes back to haunt you. If it doesn't haunt you year 1, year 2, year 5, year 10, it will haunt you.
I love that you talked about choosing the business that you want. Do you want it to be a scaling business or a lifestyle business? And this is important because on social media, you'll hear a lot of people saying it like it's just one thing, like create the business that matches your lifestyle. But I know people who have a lifestyle business and it works for them, right? But it may not be scaling as consistently as they want it to, right? So really understanding that. Another thing that you brought up was having a bookkeeper, right? And you had yours pretty early on.
Yes.
For me, I hired my accountant early on, and I was keeping my own books. Did I know what that meant? No, but I was doing, it wasn't too bad of a job. I was doing not too bad. It's just I didn't know what I was managing.
Right.
Then finally, I have an accountant now where she can actually teach me how to do bookkeeping. But if I never hired, so I love when you talked about when you're scaling, your team shifts. Because I had one accountant and he was phenomenal. He was supposed to teach me how to pay myself. He was supposed to teach me all these things, but he never did because something kept coming up, right? And so it got to a point that I started seeking a new accountant because I'm like, I feel like I'm about to get in trouble. It's been 2 years. I'm paying myself through Zelle just because Bank of America said to do it. And as soon as I got with this accountant, she was like, nope, you got to pay yourself now. Here's you're going to do it. Here's right. And so I had to let go of him. And now I'm using her. And I recognized my business was just at a space that he couldn't sustain it, but she could. And so that is a real thing, having that bookkeeper. Now, what do you say to business owners who are just starting out and they feel like they don't even have the finances for a bookkeeper yet? How early on do you think that they should be able to get this bookkeeper?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, it depends. If you're don't know. That's a tough question. I think for me at that time, maybe she charged $50 an hour, and I just committed myself to that. I mean, if you're only bringing $5,000, $10,000 in, $20,000, and you probably don't need a bookkeeper. But once you start getting to 50, 75, 100, I think it's good to have a bookkeeper. And the thing is that if you get into it early and you start understanding basic business accounting when you have $10,000 in the bank, then it's or $10,000 of revenue. Then when it scales, it's you can still understand what the balance sheet is. It's just the numbers are changing, right? So I think that's another reason you want to do it. And listen, to be honest with you, depending upon what you need, you might even be able to get like a college intern who may be going to get a CPA and can give you 2 hours a week if that's what you need, right? It might be somebody who's at a local college that may have their bachelor's degree in accounting and they're going on to get their CPA. I mean, that's it. That's what I would think. I mean, of course, you always want to monitor and watch people, right? And understand. But I think that I think it's vitally important. Unless if you're really good at math and you feel comfortable and you want to teach yourself QuickBooks, then go ahead and do it. But you also have to understand what your time is worth. So if you're teaching yourself to do QuickBooks and doing that, could you be trying to, scale up? Could you be doing more product assessment? Whatever it is that you do to make your business grow. And part of getting into the habit having a bookkeeper is getting to the place where you delegate things to people so you don't have to deal with it directly. If you're interested in scaling.
Yep. And I love that. And I can't imagine that there's a lot of people who just wants to stay at 50,000 a year. Maybe there is. I don't know. Right. Right. But hitting that six figures, it really does make a difference, because then it becomes, okay, well, how am I managing this money? How am I investing this money so that it can keep on growing? Right. And
Definitely.
So I'll just share this about me. I would just be transparent. I was managing my own books, but I didn't really know, like, I had learned from Myron Golden. Do you know Myron Golden? He's like all over school. He'll pop up on your page one time. He's all over YouTube, but he teaches like having like 10 buckets that you funnel your money into every time you make money. So I was doing that, and I was doing really good at it until the money wasn't coming in as it was
as you needed it to.
What I noticed is that my team was too big. So I went and started getting people on my team. That was the mistake I made. So we only brought in a certain amount of money. That whole thing went out in 2024, and now I'm in 2025 like, oh, that's interesting. But did I know? No, I just kept thinking, oh, we're just going to keep scaling.
Yeah, right.
What happens when you don't scale? And then you're still spending the same amount of money, right? And so having that accountant, she told me, she said, girl, you're going to have to start letting people go because you're putting out more than you're actually receiving. So I love everything that you're sharing. And I want to bring this thing back up that you talked about when we were in our pre-interview. You said there's a lot of people who romanticize entrepreneurship. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
My dad and I were talking, and he's an entrepreneur, and he said to me, people romanticize entrepreneurship, and that really resonated with me, right? I think people say sometimes what they see on social media, or they want, you can talk about, I'm being a boss lady, I'm making all these moves, and it looks like a lifestyle that is sexy and free and, wonderful. And that's romantic. I mean, what really happens on a day-to-day basis is that you're faced with making decisions that you don't want to make sometimes. You're faced with dealing with people that don't have integrity. So there are all types of things. The wonderful and the wins are like about 10% of what's behind what has to happen. So I think that when people romanticize it, it can be dangerous, because when you're really faced with some of these types of things, you can't manage it. And not everybody should be an entrepreneur. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur. You've got to be a risk taker. You've got to be able to be humble. You have to be able to pull your emotions out of decisions that you make. And that's not an easy thing to do. I know you probably have experienced it too. That idea where you've got to, you get I call it a tough punch. You get a tough punch and you got to react, pull it together, and keep it pushing. And that can be difficult at times. Yeah. So they do romanticize it. Absolutely. I think people think, oh, I'm just going to make $100,000. I'm just going to make $500,000. I'm just going to make $1 million, and then more money, more problems. So anytime I think, keep that in mind. I'm going to make this money, more problems. I mean, my first lawsuit, I was like, what the hell? And my score advisor said to me, yep, that's what happens when you start to scale. I mean, and that's the prize, right? That's the prize. Yep. But the prize was, you know what? I have insurance. They're going to take care of it. They'll do what they have to do, and that's what I pay for it. And I'm going to focus on my business. And that's the part that's not romantic, right?
Yep. That part is
No.
so good. And this is why I like talking to you because, those true, like
Yeah.
oftentimes you do hear the things that's like, go make 100,000 in a day. Okay. I used to think that it was that simple. Like I remember I started my
Yeah.
business in 2021 and I said by December I'm going to hit 100K. Child,
Okay.
no, I probably hit like I don't even know if I hit $10,000. I probably made 5K, right? But because what they're not telling you is you have to become the person who can do the thing to make the $100,000,
You do.
right?
You
Oftentimes
do.
it's just like go out and make the 100K. Okay, but I have to learn how to sell.
Oh,
I have to learn
absolutely.
how to do marketing. I have to learn
Absolutely.
how to regulate my emotions because being an entrepreneur, you are uncomfortable every single day. Uh-oh, I
Absolutely.
also have to learn how to do inner healing because your trauma pops up as an entrepreneur. When you're working a 9 to 5, you're in a safety space where you're getting a security check every
You
two
did,
weeks.
right.
So your trauma
Absolutely.
may not be popping up, but as soon as you become the entrepreneur, you're now the face of the brand. Will people
Absolutely.
judge me? Okay, when I was younger, my father said I wasn't worthy. All of that stuff starts
All
popping
that stuff.
up again.
Sure.
And you got to be able to
Sure.
address it and manage it
Yeah.
and let it go, heal from it to
Yep.
become the person who can hit the 100,000. Like I love, and this is me being facetious, but it's very funny to me. They're like, people have been in business for a long time. They're like, yeah, I hit 100K in a day. Okay, let's talk about the systems that you built, the teams that you had. Like, you didn't hit it by yourself. You had a
Absolutely.
whole system going. You
Yes.
tested your messaging for months,
Absolutely.
probably even years
Yep.
before it actually got to that point. So it's
Absolutely.
easy to say it, but the work that goes into it, it takes time. And
Very difficult.
oftentimes on social media, people try to make it seem like it doesn't
Not
take
that
time
easy.
to build the wealth, but you can't remove time from the equation. Time has to mature. So well, actually, feel free to add some more before I ask you another question.
I mean, no, I mean, I 100% agree with you, and I was just thinking about it. Like, if you're the type of person where it's like, make it make sense, and you can't get over that, you got to push it to the side, because as you scale, it's like, make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, but I'm going to be okay with it and move on. I'm going to be okay with it and move on. And that's the kind of, attitude you have to have. But I totally agree with you. People like, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not. I have to reinvent myself probably every half a million. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that means like I've got to understand a different bookkeeping situation. I've got to understand a different risk situation. You know what I mean? I've had to reinvent myself. I mean, I've had to reinvent myself in terms of how I handle insurance at least 3 or 4 times, right? I didn't know that. And so now I understand that I'm a little bit better at it, right? And you think that you hire professionals, but just because you hire a professional, that doesn't mean that that professional has your best interest, right? So as you hire them, you have to have these checks and balances, checks and balances. And in the space we live in, I'm a Black woman, duh. How I am perceived and how I'm managed in the space is very different, right? Things like, I might run to the bank and I'm, got lots of things going on. And, the bank teller says, hey, you know what? You need to be in the check cashing line. No, I don't. I need to be in the business banking line. I got to manage all that and get back to the work. So I totally agree with you. And I think it's important for people to kind of think about that, right? As they think about scaling and as they think about just being an entrepreneur generally. Next question.
Love it. So powerful. And so, my next question is how are you able to manage your mindset each time that you're scaling?
Um, hmm. I think, I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm a hard worker, and I just move through it. Like each time I just move through it. Like, what is the solution? People break deals, people betray confidences, people stab you in the back. And I'm just like, what do I need? How do I got to get it done and keep moving? And that's, really what you have to do.
I love that. Like for you,
Mhm.
it's very much, I'm just not going to take it personal. It may feel personal. I'm not going
No,
to take
you
it personal
cannot.
because it's
You
still, right.
cannot take it personal. You cannot.
This is
It'd be,
still
it'd
about
be,
my
yeah,
business and being
yeah,
focused. You have a mission for your business, right? So, what
mhm.
is your mission for your business?
Did you say vision or mission?
Mission.
Listen, my business is really around helping the communities that are most under resourced, and that's always been my mission. So I want to align with those types of things, right? In terms of the companies that we work with and the work that we do. So I'm probably not going to be the company that's going to be, conducting research on smoking, right? That's just not me. So that's important. And it's also important for me to see other entrepreneurs succeed. So as much as I can hire those types of vendors, whether they be women, whether they be diverse vendors, that's important to me as well. I want to see them grow because I've been in their position before, where no one was going to give me a chance, right? Where people were going to use stereotypes to define me, and so I want to change that structure, and I want to change it fast.
I love that. And that's just so powerful, right? Like, I love that you have it in your mind, this is my mission, right? And so
Right.
you're able to stay focused on building your business and being able to help people while you are at it. And so let me ask you this question. What are three things that you will share with business owners who are scaling their business that they need to know? And I know you shared with us some things when it came to bookkeeping, insurance, but like, what are top three things that they would need to know when it comes to scaling their business?
Don't get emotional. Um, have the proper structure in place. Have a mentor. And I mean, when I talk about a mentor, like I'm happy to mentor people, but there may be a time when I get to the place where we get to the place where I'm not the right mentor, right? When the pandemic came, I've had lots of people work with me. I've had lots of good, good advice. But at the beginning of the pandemic, I looked at where we were and what was going on, and I said, I need a different type of advice. I need a different type of mentoring. So I went on the SCORE website, and SCORE is a wonderful program that's free, and they're retired executives. And I went to the website and I looked at all the profiles, and I said, I really want to have somebody that has a CFO background because I'm a selling CEO, right? And I'm a CEO that understands the importance of the risk in my business, but I need to take it next level. And this gentleman and I have worked together for the last 2.5 years, or whenever the pandemic was, maybe it's what, 3, 4 years. And usually once a week we get together and we talk and we go over what my challenges are and what I need to do. And he's tough. I mean, he gives me a hard time, but I need it. And what he has taught me and sponsored me has been, I mean, he's on phone calls with me, with bankers, with lawyers, with insurance brokers. And to have that kind of mentoring and support is very important. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and I see a lot of folks around, and it's almost like, well, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get stuff done. I understand. I know. No, you don't. Speak to someone that has 20 years more of experience than you, 15 years more experience than you. If you're a administrative CEO, speak to somebody that has sales and marketing that can kind of guide you in those areas. And I think that I like to see more of that. I like to see more of people being humble and leaning in. You know what? I don't know something. I don't understand. How do I get better at it? Those are the types of things that I think are vital for our business owners. Because you know what? It's so funny. I belong to this organization called WPO, and we meet monthly. And we had a meeting recently, and a new member was coming in, and she was talking about the fact that it can be lonely. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely. And she was saying how it is wonderful it is to have this group of women that we can talk and exchange. Same thing. And sometimes family members don't understand what you're going through. Friends don't understand what you're going through. They just don't understand it. So if you could have someone that you can kind of unload on, right? And if you've got employees, I can't go to my employees and say, I'm really angry right now because I had a deal with this person and they betrayed me. They don't want to hear that. They just want to work and come to work and get their check. They don't want to be an emotional support for me. So that's where the mentoring comes in. So those are the things that I think are really, really important. And I think also to have a vision, like, like what kind of sales do you want to make? What type of revenue? What's it going to take to do that? If you're in digital marketing and TikTok falls apart tomorrow, what's plan B? To have those types of things in your mind, I think are important.
Ooh, everything you dropped was like,
Oh no.
just on point. Didn't I say she was a powerhouse? Like, I feel like you're the first person to be on my podcast to talk about like the logistics of the business, right? Like, we do get the marketing, the sales. We know that needs to happen, but you're talking about, no, what do you have in place for scaling? Who do you have in place for scaling, right? And the type of background they should have when it comes to scaling. Now, there comes for some of us, and this happens to me too, where it's like you want to have a mentor, but then there's shame about you not knowing certain things.
Oh
And a
yeah.
lot of times we're comparing ourselves to other people on the internet,
Right.
like, well, at this
Right.
point, this person was here. And so
Right.
you're
Right.
thinking, I'm supposed to know this too. What's some advice that you can offer? Because I remember you telling me your story. You were like, I was not ashamed. I don't know that. And
No, I will ask for help in a minute. I will ask for help. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like my mentor does my financial forecasting for me. And if I mean, the spreadsheet would make you go dizzy. I didn't ask him to, but you know what? I've come to him so transparent that, and people want to help you if you ask for help, right? They want to help you, right? But if you're sitting posturing and trying to pretend, it doesn't help any. It's funny because like I've been around, when I see people trying to pretend and kind of cover stuff up because they don't want to like just be transparent. It's so obvious. So I mean, be transparent. And the worst the person can say is, listen, you know what, I just don't have the time to help you that way. But I'll ask bank managers for help. I'll ask the American Express for help. Wherever I need help, I'm not, because you know what? I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just asking you to help me with this problem, to get past this problem. And I've found help in the most unimaginable places. So and I think, like I told you, being an entrepreneur, you've got to be humble. You've got to be humble. And you got to get used to, I mean, for me, you've got to get used to asking for help. So I don't have a problem with that. I'll ask for help in a minute, and I have no shame in my game.
I love it. And because of that, you're so successful. Like your business
Well,
is.
listen, it's an ebb and a flow, right? It's an ebb
Yeah,
and a flow.
yeah,
Ebb and a flow. I'm learning too, right? I'm learning too. I'm learning to put my big girl panties on, and I definitely lead with the heart, which is nice. But when you do that, sometimes people have boundary issues, right? And those boundary issues are dangerous for them and for you.
yeah.
That's the kind of the lesson I've been learning. I probably in the last year or so,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Just really being able to let go and just say, "Hey, I need help." And like you said, I'm not asking for any money. I'm just asking for your wisdom. Please
Oh
share
yeah,
it. Please
yeah.
share your wisdom, right?
I
And
think my guy that I'm telling you about, like I mean, I was up at like 6 o'clock in the morning saying, what's going to make this pandemic, like what's going to happen to my business? Sent him an email at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we had a call in the next 48 hours, and it was like a brick was lifted off my back just talking to him. And that's the kind of thing you want. And you know what? There's so many people out here that want to see us win.
yeah,
So you're going to find someone that's going to help you and support you. And now I will say on the reverse of that, do the work. If you find someone pouring into you, do the work. And the other thing I think that people don't do enough, I'd like to see some more graciousness, right? And when I talk about that, like if someone helps you, thank them,
yeah,
say thank you. I mean, and people say, oh, thank you. I mean, the gentleman I'm talking to you about, every Christmas, he gets $1,000 gift basket. And you can imagine what $1,000 gift basket looks like. It's gorgeous, but he deserves that. If he's available to me 40 weeks out of the year for an hour and 90 minutes of his time, I think he deserves that.
yeah.
And I'd like to see more of that type of thank you. Even with my clients, I have a B2B business, right? So I'm business to business. I don't really, when I launch my digital work, of course it'll be business to consumer, but I'm a business to business. So that means that the dollar amount of my engagements are fairly large.
Mhm.
And whenever I get an offer for a request for proposal or a statement of work, I say thank you for the opportunity,
Yeah.
because you didn't have to give me the opportunity. You could have given it to somebody else.
Mhm.
And I'm always wondering, and I want to remember that always. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your time. Thank you for that suggestion. Thank you for introducing me to that person. Thank you for inviting me to those types of things. Those are the types of things that when you do those types of things and you ingrain it in how you interact with people, that people want to do more. And if you got a business to consumer thing, if you're on TikTok shop and you've got a customer that is your highest, spending customer, thank them. Send them a product free. Let them know that you appreciate them. And I see a lot of, especially with this new millennial founder stuff, a lot of transactional stuff. People do business with who they trust and they like. I want to be liked and I want to be trusted. And if I can be liked and trusted, then things can go a long way for me, right? So that's that whole thing, being thankful. And I always thank people. I thank you for this opportunity here. You didn't have to invite me to do that. You could have invited somebody else. So I want to see people being more thankful for the things, right? Because what happens is, I mean, I have had people that I've done things for, I've helped, and it I'll do it either way. If I can help you, I will. But then when they come back to me a second time, if I have the time, I'm going to help you.
Mhm.
But if I don't, then it'll become less of a priority,
Yep.
right? It's those kinds of things. Again, people do business they trust and they like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think, that's the kind of mindset I want to see people have. And especially as a woman of color, how I operate in an entrepreneurial space, not everyone is going to be as open and helpful to me, right? So because of that, if I found those people that are my people, I want to know, I want them to know I'm thankful for them. If I find businesses and corporations that say, Denene, Zebra Strategies and Denene, we want to work with her, I know what I'm up against to get to that space. And I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that by thanking them and by, of course, obviously doing a good job. All right, let me get off my soapbox.
But it was so good, right? Because not only are you talking about the skill set, but also just having manners. Like if someone does something for you, say thank you and keep that relationship going. I think, as you said, there are some people where the relationship is transactional. And I know when I first started, that was my mindset, but it was coming from a place of lack and scarcity, which is like, okay, you already bought, let me move on to the next. But okay.
That's true.
What I have learned, luckily I learned it quickly because I heard somebody say you don't want transactional relationships. And I was like, okay, let me switch to transformational relationships. But what I have learned is the people who have worked with me, we have built powerful relationships. They come back. I buy from them. We have conferences. They invite me to speak. I invite them to speak. Like it becomes a long lasting relationship. And honestly, that's what business is. That's what life is. It's
My
the
Rolodex is deep. I
yeah.
mean, it runs deep, and it's interesting because I see people try and use it, but it's different when I'm using it, right? Because I've poured into it so that people expect, people return my phone calls quickly. People look out for me because
Yeah.
there's this conversation and there's this conversation, right? So this conversation, hi, oh, we'd like to work together. Da, da, da. This conversation is, listen, make sure that you have this in place. Make sure that you do that. Set yourself up this way. Be careful of that. Watch out for this, right? And sometimes those conversations are not emailed, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
they're not. They're not email conversations. They're not they're not chat. They're not WhatsApp. And
Yep.
those are the types of relationships that you want to have where people really look out for you, not here, but here.
Come on. Oh, I just love that. Okay, so you dropped so much wisdom today. Please
Okay.
let everyone know how they can get access to your podcast because they're
Sure.
gonna want this wisdom some more.
Okay. So Gritfully is the podcast. I think we have 3 episodes out. We've got one on legal, on insurance, and then the first episode is with my dad, and it really talks about just my entrepreneurial journey and kind of the mindset that he helped me to get. And it's kind of foundational to how I think. Then we can always visit me on TikTok. I'm going to be going live with a lunch and learn every Wednesday, I believe at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be just talking. You guys, people can ask me questions. I like to say, as my grandmother says, they can learn something from me and I can learn something from them, right? And then what my digital products will be launching in the next month. But again, it's going to be very much around first what your mindset is, where you want your business to go. And then we can talk to start breaking stuff down. And then I will probably maybe offer 5 sessions a month that are one-on-one where we start to talk about other issues. I mean, if you're at a certain level with your entrepreneurial journey, probably have to be at least 6 figures. Then we can talk about some other things that I want folks to start keeping in mind as they scale their business to protect themselves, right? And I want to work with people that are transparent, people that are humble, and people that want to learn, and we'll be good.
I love that. People who want to learn. You also said something before, which was like when someone shares their wisdom with you, do the work. Like I've worked with people where they just don't do it. It feels draining because they just don't do the work. And they coming back to you month after month with the same problem because they
Right,
didn't do the work. And it's like,
right,
this is like a
right.
spit in my face because I gave you the tools already. So I love that on your podcast, you are giving out more tools, more wisdom. And then in about a month, you'll be launching digital products to really
Yep,
help
yep,
women and just business owners in general to be able
yep.
to scale their business and just know what they need in place to scale. And
Absolutely.
you are the answer to a prayer that I didn't know I prayed because here's the thing, like I asked God, like I said, I want to scale, right? And so in my mind, I'm just like, more clients, more
Right,
money, right? And
right.
then you came on my podcast and was like, when you're ready to scale, this is what you need. I was like, no one ever
Yeah,
told me that. No business
definitely,
coach told me that. No marketing.
definitely.
I've worked with a lot of coaches. No one has ever said that. And here
Wow.
you are, you have an entire, yeah. You have an
Mm.
entire podcast that's like, but that's because people specialize in certain things. And you specialize in this. Like you know what needs to happen in the back end. So like even everyone who's writing in the chat, you are blessing them. They're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, oh yes, you're right. I need
Think
that.
about it. Think
Right?
about it. 'Cause I've gotten some hard slaps.
Absolutely. So here is the podcast, Gritfully. You can get
Yes.
access to it
Yes.
in the chat right now, so you all can access it. But
Yes.
for the replay, for those of you who are watching the replay, it'll also be in the caption.
Yes.
Just copy
Absolutely.
and paste it so you can get
Yes.
access to it.
Absolutely. I'm
Follow
excited.
follow Denene on TikTok. What's your TikTok handle?
La Jefa. Lajefa, and it means boss lady in Spanish because I want all my ladies to be boss ladies. So I want to see them
Fun.
win, and I'm
And
looking
that's how we
forward
met.
to this. Hmm?
That's how we met. We met on TikTok.
We did meet on TikTok. I know. TikTok is new to me. Again, remember I told you I'm a business to business. I'm a LinkedIn girl. I'm on LinkedIn trying to get those corporations to give me. So, but I started to go on TikTok because of Gritfully, and also I'm going to be launching a docuseries. But that's not business. It's really a docuseries on the actual work my company does, right? The mission-driven work. So my one of my employee said, "You got to get on TikTok, Denene." So I'm like, okay, fine. So that's how, but I'm loving it. It gives me the opportunity to be creative. I have fun, fun posts, but I'll be doing more business-like posts and sharing more of my knowledge soon. So yeah, it's exciting. But all of the folks that are listening, I want to see you win. I think you can win in whatever you want to do. Stay strong, stay determined, right? And stay humble, and you'll be good.
Yes, come on. Thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being our guest and
My
just dropping
absolute
wisdom
pleasure.
on
My
us.
absolute
You
pleasure.
were such a blessing. We'll be
I,
back again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern with another episode of Wisdom to Wealth. Thank
right.
you all for tuning in. Have a great
And
one.
also, I'm going to be live from 1 to 2 today. So if anybody wants to pop in and ask questions and hang out with me, I'm going to be live on TikTok from 1 to 2. Peace
Yep, and
out,
her
guys.
name is La Jefa.
Ow. I woke up rude.